We back in the lab, we making some noise, so go turn your decibels up.
What's good, everybody? Jordan Chapman here, geoarchaeologist and co-host of the B-Scientist podcast. As Jen and I were recording this episode, I didn't realize how low my mic was, so just wanted to warn you about that in case things got a little annoying and give you the highlights. So, Jen is going to Costa Rica and Ecuador this summer and will be going for most of the summer, and I'm going to be starting a new PhD program in geoscience at Baylor University in Texas, and we'll be moving there later this summer. With that said, we won't be doing much recording, but you might get a special episode from us on June 19th. There may be one or two more episodes after that, but it's not really guaranteed. We're also looking for an editorial director to lead the development of our B-Scientist magazine and to be a producer of this show. If you know anyone, tell them to email us at contactus@thebsci.org, or they can visit b-sci.org and we'll take it from there. We will be back either late in the summer or early in the fall with new episodes of B-Scientist. So until then, be scientist and go on with the show.
We back in the lab, we making some noise, so go turn your decibels up. Black skin, white coat, oh no, who was nice as us? Made Jimison, really told us no limit, so we about to take us up. Went from mixing in the kitchen to the lab, and now I can make this up. Whoa! Be shy, be scientist, be shy, be scientist. We shining a light on the people of color to show them how fly it is. Be shy, be scientist, be shy, be scientist. We back in the lab with white coats on our back, trying to show what time it is. Hey!
Welcome back to the B-Scientist podcast, a podcast by the Black Science Coalition and Institute, or B-SCI. When you hear this noise, that is our in-podcast citation. So please go to b-sci.org to see all of our citations ever. I am geoarchaeologist Jordan Chapman, and as always, we have the dope chemist herself,
Jana Carpenter.
And this is going to be a very short episode today because it's the end of the semester. People are tired. People are about to go on summer vacation or something like that. So, Jenna, what's going on with you this summer?
Well, I have kind of a packed summer. I received a National Science Foundation International Research Experience scholarship of sorts, which is pretty exciting because I did not get the NSF-DRFP, which I really wanted to get, but this is the next best thing, I think. So what that entails is a 2-week course called Choco Rico. So this will be kind of like understanding the history and traditional process of making chocolate from cacao. And so I'll spend 2 weeks in Costa Rica. We fly into Liberia, Costa Rica, and we make our way down 25 miles south.
With the R's.
I've been working on my Spanish. Shout out to Duolingo.
Hey, yeah,
they both scare me and help me learn things all in the same way. So we fly into Liberia, and then we travel our way down to the capital of San Jose, Costa Rica. And along that path, we will get to see the traditional process of fermentating cacao until it becomes into a manufactured product of chocolate like we know it. And we get to really experience the culture behind chocolate making, because it does have a pretty rich culture. And all cacao actually originates in Ecuador. And so what I will do after Costa Rica is travel to Guayaquil, Ecuador, in South America. And that's where I will be at Expo. I cannot give you the full name right now because I will butcher that. But while I'm in Guayaquil, I'll be working on the main project that I got the scholarship for to begin with, which is to identify the metabolites of both processes along the way of fermentation of the cacao flesh itself, or the mucilage. And then I'll also be testing bacteria that helps in the fermentation process to identify key metabolites that kind of make chocolate what it is, that sensory sensation and experience that you get when you eat chocolate. And so they're trying to find a way to identify those novel metabolites that make chocolate eating such an enjoyable experience and find ways to make a better practice of manufacturing cacao so that every time you make it, no matter where you are in the world, if you can grow cacao, then you can make really good chocolate. And so this will go back to the culture aspect because a lot of the times, you can go buy chocolate for $1, at any convenience store. But if you think about it, the cacao that's used for that chocolate, someone is losing money along the way. And it's always going to be the first person, that farmer who's farming the cacao. And so they're trying to patent these manufacturing processes to help make sure that these farmers who are actually doing the work will get paid better wages, and they can kind of bypass this crazy finance thing that all of these companies kind of monopolize off of. So
You're right. So,
yeah. So
and you're going to be in Costa Rica for like 2 weeks?
yeah, Costa Rica for 2 weeks. It's kind of like a course. So I'm one of 2 grad students, and the rest are undergrads, and we're all going to experience chocolate making in its rawest form.
So wait a second. So you're going to go to Costa Rica, but then after Costa Rica, you're going to Ecuador, right?
Right.
Is that happening all in the same trip, or are you doing that in 2 different trips?
No. Right. So it is 2 different trips.
Oh.
I'll come back to the States after Costa Rica on May 27th. And in between the 2 trips, I'll also be attending a conference in Minnesota, the American Society for Mass Spectrometry, ASMS, in Minnesota, from June 4th through June 9th. And then June 16th until August 12th is when I go to Ecuador for 8 weeks. So
how many
just
weeks?
a little, just like 8.
8 weeks.
Yeah, just a quick little thing.
I jumped to South America, tippy toes, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know how many people jump.
I don't need to sleep. It's fine.
Sleep on the plane.
Yeah, exactly.
That's dope as hell, though. Actually, I knew about Costa Rica. I think you mentioned that you were going to be traveling somewhere else, but I didn't understand how it all kind of like fit together, I guess.
Yeah.
But you're basically just going to be going the whole summer.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
I kind of don't, I always have been a little, because every time someone's like, aren't you going to do research somewhere? I'm always like, okay, do I tell them the whole spiel? Like, okay, I'm doing this, and then I'm doing this, and then I'm doing this. Or do I just be like, yeah, I'm going to wherever?
I mean, but that's cool. Like, goddamn. Just like the last time I did go to school that left the country was in 2014, I think, something like that. And I went to Israel.
The motherland.
We were only there. We were there for a month, and it was like cool, but 8 weeks. That's like plus. So that's 8 weeks. That's 2 months plus the 2 weeks they're going to be in Costa Rica plus the conference. So that's like almost 2.5 to 3 months on the road.
Yeah.
International scientist.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to get those stamps on my passport, But nah, like Israel's on the other side of the globe. So at least I'm on the same line of latitude. You know what
That's
I mean?
interesting. I never thought about
that.
Wait,
longitude.
Yeah, longitude.
Yeah. Please, geographists, don't come after me.
It's only a minor. I only got a minor, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, because I will not be on the same line of latitude because it's along the equator.
Yeah, latitude. I always think about latitude as like a ladder, basically. Somebody like going up and down the ladder.
You climb up the ladder, right?
Yeah. Longitude's like slice.
Oh,
but that's still cool though.
What was that little Okay.
It's,
Okay.
it's a
All right.
slice of pizza. That's basically because it is kind of like a slice. Anyway, but yeah, you're gonna have to tell when you come back. So
Mm.
one, like, I feel like if you're listening to the podcast right now, you're like, damn, Jenna, like you're gonna be all over the place. You might basically be going to Mars. So like, if we don't get a lot of episodes from us this summer, that's probably why. We have talked about one thing we might do, which it was actually Jenna's idea. I won't say it. I'm not going to spoil it because I do think it's a dope idea. But when that happens, yeah, you might enjoy that. But if you don't get a lot of episodes from us this summer, it's because Jenna is, I don't know, getting her wings, I guess.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, for sure. But I feel like we could document it on
Mm.
through B-side and as a to give people an understanding. Like, we don't always have to be in a lab to do science.
Right.
Sometimes you can get flown to Ecuador and
Yeah.
just
She
be
flew
chilling
out. Yeah.
somewhere.
Mm-hmm. That's dope.
But on a serious note, I will be extremely careful. I'm lucky enough to have been raised by both a cop and a family full of military personnel.
Mm-hmm.
So I have had the fear of God instilled in me um, from all of my family members.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes.
Dope, dope, dope. But that's cool. So my plans this summer, honestly, I don't have. It's not as exciting as Ecuador, to tell you that, or even Costa Rica. But yeah. So this summer I will be finishing up my master's, which might be a bit of a spin from what people kind of expect, because I have been a PhD student here at the University of Georgia for like 4 years. But sometime last semester, I decided that it'd be better if I got a master's at UGA in anthropology. And in the fall, I'll actually be starting a PhD program at Baylor University in Waco, Texas. And that won't be in anthropology, that will be in geoscience. So, yeah, I got accepted into the geoscience department at Baylor. So, I'm going to be going to Baylor in August. But I will be back home in Philly for about a month before going to Texas. But other than that, it's going to
That's
be so,
exciting, though.
yeah. So that's happening. And then if you hear about a new B-SCI chapter at Baylor, that's probably why. Because you're probably going to try to start a chapter there. So yeah.
So, have you already started thinking about research projects, or is that something to think about once you get there?
No, I have. It's funny because when I first got accepted here to the University of Georgia, I remember thinking as soon as I got in, I was like, okay. And then I accepted. I was like, all right, we need to start thinking about what the plan is right now. Like, we need to think about what the project's going to be, like all that stuff. I'll say that when you do that, it becomes like you kind of put yourself in an interesting spot. You start doing that, and then you're like, all right, well, but where's my summer? And I think you should not do that if you're going into grad school. If this is like one of those, if you're a first time grad student, I think you should enjoy that summer before grad school starts.
Absolutely.
This won't be my first rodeo, I guess. I say rodeo because Texas, but it won't be my first rodeo. But like, I just think about it like you need the time off, and I think that is even more clear when you look back about how these last few years went with COVID. I think we're all still pretty exhausted from that, and the plethora of other crazy world events that have happened over the last couple of years. So I think taking a little bit of time off is probably best for all grad students before they start any program. Again, it's a little bit weird because it is like going from a master's to a PhD, and I am like still kind of working on like the final parts of the actual thesis because I'm not technically graduating until August. I've already done the thesis defense. That went well, but in terms of like finishing off, it's not until August. But with all that said, I just think that if I could go back in time and talk to past Jordan, I'd be like, listen, like all that stuff you're thinking about before going to grad school, like, oh, I need a project right now. I need to try to get ahead of the game. Like, yes, but like also like take some time off. So that's kind of how I'm approaching it now. It's like I'm going to work on this master's, get that done, and once I get to Texas, I'll be like, all right, let's get to work. And then hopefully, I'm trying to be out as fast as possible. I have some ideas about what I might do, but things change, so we'll see.
Well, that's good though. I'm glad that you are giving yourself some space to be a human because
Yeah.
I feel very inhuman sometimes in grad school where I'm just like, what am I even doing? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah,
what
for
am I
sure.
doing here? Like, so I'm glad that you're giving yourself some space for sure. Because
Right.
I was just talking with someone today actually who kind of like equated grad school to like, okay, you get there your first year and it's kind of like you're in the honeymoon stage, you're kind of just doing the things, you go into your classes, and you're like, man, I'm in grad school, man. And then you are no longer in the honeymoon stage and you're like, wow, this is kind of messed up. What am I doing here?
Right.
So they just finished their first year in the chemistry department, and we were talking about that because they're just like, yeah, I'm not having a great time. I was like, yeah, I know, I know.
Yeah. I remember
So,
our first time when I was telling you about how it would go in your first year.
mhm,
I would say like the honeymoon stage for me probably lasted maybe the first week, honestly.
mhm, mhm,
Because the first week here was like, okay, like I'm in a new place. It's everything's different now. I got to do stuff, but it's fine. B-side is like going to happen. It was still real early for B-side too. And then the second week, they were like, read this book by next week. And it was like, excuse and why? By next week, you say, a book? This book? This
yeah,
book? I don't. This book's kind of boring, honestly. I don't want to read this book for. What do you mean? For I got a week. And then after that, I was like, oh, this is gonna be trash. And yeah, so yeah, that happens. I do think things can be slightly better at Baylor because part of the reason I'm leaving UGA is that there are sets of classes that I need to take if I want to be the scientist that I want to be one day, or at least have the option of being, and they're not offered on a consistent basis here at UGA. Like for example,
mhm,
geochemistry, things like that. There was a time when those classes probably were taught. They are on like the UGA like bulletin, which has all the past classes of that have been taught here at UGA. But they're not being taught enough to where I comfortably take those classes and can do the research that I want to do, or like in the flavor of the research I want to do.
mhm,
So it became super tough for that reason alone. And then I was just like, I can't keep just taking. I was kind of running around like with like a chicken with its head cut off. Like I was trying to take any class that would get me closer to that, and because there was not a lot of options, I was just kind of trying to do as much as possible without really directing the efforts. So we're just like, all right, we need to take some steps back and think about what's going on here at UGA. And eventually that came down to having to leave UGA. I will say it is a bit frustrating because I am going to miss some of the other grad students in my program. Also, like I'm gonna miss being like just being like, hey, Jenna, are we whose place are we going to record this podcast at? That's gonna be annoying. But I mean, we're like right now we're recording online. It's a platform called Riverside FM, and it works fine. It's just not going to be the same as being like, all right, like in person. But I know other podcasts that do that too, so that's where I'm like, we'll be fine. So there will still be so you might not get that many episodes from us over the summertime, but in the fall, you'll probably get more from us, and it's gonna be fun. Like in terms of all that stuff that you get from B-side, like it's not. We've kind of always been virtual anyway, so that part won't be affected too much. So
yeah. Well, I'm excited that you get to have a new beginning somewhere else that is not UGA. Since I still go here, I will not say anything else
yeah,
about UGA. but
Yeah,
I'm
you can't
happy
yet.
for you.
Yeah, I mean, I am excited to try to start a B-SCI chat at Baylor too. I think, especially my plan at Baylor will be to like basically just make them do like start a chapter that focuses a lot on science communication. So hopefully you'll get a lot of different content out of there. Because I probably will if I can get students to be interested. I probably will teach some students how to make a podcast or something like that, or at least how to make not a bad podcast, I guess, a passable podcast. Because we had some struggles at the beginning, but we figured it out. So so I'm hoping they can figure it out too.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. And we've been wanting to do more outreach anyway, so I feel like it'll just be great all around, I think.
So that's happening. That's kind of what's going on with us. We're still working on a magazine that is in some amount of time there will be an application going out that you might see on social media if you follow the podcast about an editorial director. So if you listen to this podcast and you are interested in being a volunteer on an editorial board for a magazine, then you might get an application soon, or you'll be able to fill out an application soon. That link isn't out yet because we are waiting for a few more things, but it should be out. It might actually be out next week, to be honest. So maybe it will be out when the podcast comes out. But that's happening if you're interested in that. And then even later in the summertime, we're going to be having a program director position opening. And those are all board member positions. So if you want to work with me and Jenna, be part of the dream team, and some of the other B-SCI board members, then that time's coming up soon. There's going to be a third one for not too long. I don't have an exact date on that, but that will also happen. So if those two don't sound like your, I guess, ideal position, then just look out for the third one. And hopefully that one might fit your taste a little bit better. But that's happening. So those are other things happening with B-SCI, broadly speaking. And then it is helpful, or at least convenient, that Jenna won't be here for some parts of the summer because we will also be going on a break. We were going to be going on a break anyway for Juneteenth, but we are happy that Jenna's getting to see the world. She's becoming cultured, I guess.
Yeah, that makes you and probably not the rest of my family. I think they're all worried sick. But yeah, please keep in touch with me. Y'all can reach me on WhatsApp if you really want to. I don't know. Social media. Hit up Jenna, just say hi. Make sure she's doing okay. Yeah. Make sure I'm still alive. Check in. Yeah, and if you get a phone call that says it's from Florence Carpenter, just pick it up. Just be like, she's all right, man. She's okay. She's good. That's my mom, by the way. Okay. So yeah, just because I feel like she would move the earth to figure out where I'm at. So just stay tuned. I will keep B-SCI updated, and I'm excited to learn new things. Yeah, we're gonna be excited to hear about all your summer stories. I mean, that's all we really have for you guys today, honestly. It is, again, the end of a very long semester and a very long academic year. Jenna's about to go to the beach. We don't want to keep her too long. So, with that said, stay scientists. Be scientists until next time. And we'll catch you then. All right, guys.
Be Scientist is a podcast by the Black Science Coalition and Institute, or B-SCI, a 501c3 nonprofit. Be Scientist is hosted by both Jenna Carpenter, chemist and B-SCI's Research and Development Officer, and Jordan Chapman, geoarchaeologist and B-SCI's president. Music is produced by Delaralo, and lyrics are by Jana. Special thanks to Michael Mike Captain Marshall and the Plaza Abbey Studios. If you'd like to donate to B-SCI, visit our official website, bsci.org. That's b-sci.org. Your donation supports B Scientist and B-SCI's other projects. We couldn't do it without you. So please tune in next time, and always be scientists.